Today I just wanted to cover something that was purely luck and judgement on my behalf at the beginning because I didn't realise it existed, but I've since found out that it does, and it could be something, a decision you make really early on in the process that could not only end up costing you an awful lot of time, it could also end up costing you a hell of a lot of money as well. So one of the first decisions that you're probably going to want to make when you decide to set up a side hustle or a business of any kind is you're going to want to think of a brand name. Now, I thought this part of the process would be really fun. So when I decided to set up online and I was looking to set up some social media pages and my own website, I thought I wanted something that was quite short, that I could fit into quite a brief, simple logo, and something that made people realise that really they were going to be kind of buying into me, which is where Relatable Me came from, which is my brand name, my logo. I have it across my website, it's on my Etsy store. You've probably seen it popping up on my social media pages if you follow my social media pages. And really your brand name and your logo is so that potential clients, potential customers and existing clients and customers can in time see that logo or see that name, and straight away they have trust in that because they've dealt with you before and they see you as a reliable brand. So it is really important to think of something that's right and that's relevant. Don't rush it, take your time, because it's an absolute nightmare to try and rebrand further down the line. I had trouble thinking of something because I had quite a few ideas, but then I use some of the online tools, so you can use online business name generators. There's obviously AI tools like Chat GPT. I always call that Chat CBT. I think I've used that in a blog before, and it's not, is it? So if you ever hear me refer to CBT on here, I'm not talking about the happy stuff, I'm talking about the AI tool. So you can use that. If you use something like that, you can just put a brief description of the services that you're going to be offering and any keywords that you've come up with yourself that you might want it to include, and just say, can you come up with 20 suggestions of a brand name, and it should list them on there. And I pretty much went through every single one, I think, online and mixed and matched a few different bits and pieces, and that was how I came up with my brand name. Now, I obviously went ahead, I set up all my social media channels and everything with it, I set up my website with it, because one of the first things I did was to check that there was a domain name that was available for Relatable Me in the UK, because obviously if I would have set up all my social media channels and in a year's time wanted to set up a website, and then I went on to the domain name generators and all the Relatable Me's had been taken, I then wouldn't be able to use my branding or my name in a website, which would make it really, really difficult to get across to customers that although this is me, my website is actually called something completely different. So it's always worth just doing a domain name check, and if there is one that you really like the look of that's really perfect for you, sometimes you can pick up like a domain name for 10 quid a year or something. So if a website is something that you're looking to do in the future, sometimes it's worth just kind of grabbing that domain name and paying that 10 quid, and then even if you don't use it, it's easier than, I say, having to try and think of something else later down the line. So that's a little tip. The second tip, which is the most costly one, which has actually happened to a creator that I follow, a really lovely lady, and she has set up her website going along quite happily, and then she received a fine for £6,000, I think it was, because she'd actually used a trademarked name and she didn't realise. So when you're thinking of a brand name and you're designing your logo, because they can also trademark logos as well, first to hand, it's always worth just going onto Google and just type in, check if a company name is trademarked or check if a logo is trademarked. One of the first ones that comes up should be the government website. I would advise that you only use that one because obviously it's the most reputable. You can click onto the website. It gives you a search facility, so you can put your actual name that you're searching in it, or you can put keywords in it that you want the system to search. And it works on class as well, so which are basically niches. So it allows you to select from, there's loads on there, different kind of classes, so for different sectors, so you know, whether it's retail or whether it's online design or you know, all different things like that. I personally just left it to search site-wide because I wanted to cover every kind of base. But as I understand it, as long as nobody has trademarked your specific name in your specific niche or class, then you can still go ahead and use it. But double check that information because obviously things change all of the time. Once you have checked that nobody's using your name, or even if the name that you want has been trademarked in, say, America, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't use it, because if they haven't paid additional to trademark it in the UK, then again, regulations are always changing, so depending on when you're watching this video, double check it and look into it before you go ahead. But I believe that if they haven't actually paid to trademark it in the UK and you're trading from the UK, then you can still go ahead and use it. But as I say, it really is worth doing. It literally takes 5 minutes online just to double check, and it really could make the difference between you getting a huge, whopping great bill years down the line. I mean, there are some people who have been fined hundreds of thousands of pounds for breaching trademark. So it really is a definite red flag in the beginning to look out for.